after a little drive. We are parked up at the edge of Tiveden National Park, and we slept at the side of a lake, and I'll insert a picture here. It was gorgeous, and it was also a great place to take pictures, so we did that. We got up at around 8, and today we are walking in the forest here. Not sure where we will spend the night, but if we drive a little bit that way or that way, we are just outside of the national park, meaning that we are allowed to sleep or spend the night. And this is just where we were parked for the day. Jordi's making lunch. He's making some avocado and tomato on toast. And the dogs are outside. They are tied up. They are not allowed to be off-lead in the national park. And we're off. We are going to try and find a hike that is doable for Venus. We've discussed it all with the breeder, and he's very open to having pups do lots of exercise as long as they can determine the pace as well. But we'll find a hike that's doable, and we'll do a very long stop in between. We've got a good snack for the dogs as well as for us. We've got 2 clementines, 2 kiwis, and some walnuts. And for the dogs, we've got a dry beef ear and 2 pieces of dried tripe. So they will have something to chew, which is good for their teeth, but it also keeps them going. And aside from that, we will also have some dried duck to treat them. So we found a massive map that has all of the routes that they have here for hikers, and we're currently at that red dot there. Venus is crying because she really wants to start walking. And these are all the routes, and here on the left it lists how many hours it will take for you to completely walk approximately, and it also says how many kilometers there are. It's very interesting because here a 2.2 kilometer walk will take 2 hours, or a 4.6 kilometer walk will take 3.5 hours, whereas well, we could easily walk 5 kilometers in an hour, so it should be very steep, I think, but fun. So we'll see which one we take. So we have settled on the grey route, which is 4.2 kilometers, so it will take 3 hours. Here you can see how steep it is. So there are quite some elevation differences, but not too many as, for example, this red one would have. And Jordi also really likes the blue one, so we'll probably do that tomorrow, and that is 6.7 kilometers or 4.5 hours. So I'll keep the camera here just for a bit so you can see the walks that there are, just in case you want to visit it one time. So we're off. We arrived at like a top, I think the highest point of this hike. If I'm looking around, it seems like this would be the highest point, but it looks amazing. There's a lake here at the back. Oh. Jordi just wrote something in this guest book, and we're actually the final people to have written in it because it's completely full now. But if you ever do see it, please send us a picture because that would be amazing. We just had lunch with this lake as our view, and we're now continuing our hike. I think we're halfway through or something, but we have stopped and climbed up a lot of rocks to take more pictures, and the dogs were quite tired and hot as well, so they had a snack, some water and stuff, so they are ready to go again as well. But it's beautiful out here. And we're back. It took us exactly 4 hours, including a lunch break and many photography breaks though. It's the next day and we're back at the same spot where we started our hike yesterday. And I wanted to show you this building. It's got a number of toilets as well as quite a few different bins. And these toilets actually are drop-down toilets. So the manure, well, stuff is gathered under this porch here. And I actually read a blog post about that, about how good it is for the environment for everything to heap up here, because this doesn't have any added sawdust or stuff, and everything falls in the same area, so the solids and the liquids, and that actually doesn't decompose, so it just gathers down here until it's full, and then it has to be moved somewhere, or this hutch has to be moved somewhere else. It's actually better to separate liquids and solids, which our toilet in our van does. As far as bins goes, Sweden has actually been quite well. At many locations we can find every single item, every single type of waste, general, paper, glass, metal and plastic, all separated. But we haven't been able to find green waste, so organic waste, and that's what we have most of, so we have difficulty finding those bins. We did find one 2 days ago, and yeah, I think every 5 days ago or so we find one, but of course people just have their own bins, or there's a community bin with a key and we can't use it, but other than that they separate all waste here, even metal from plastic, which we don't in the Netherlands. But it's odd that everything is collected in one similar type of plastic bag. So the paper also goes into a plastic bag, the metal also goes into plastic, so yeah. It's always that thing that makes you wonder whether or not that will be taken out of that bag again eventually. But anyways, we're going on another hike today, and we're going with the blue one at the bottom left corner, which is 6.7 kilometers and takes 4.5 hours. Yesterday we did that grey one, which was 3 hours, 4.2 kilometers. And the grey route is here and the blue one is there, so you can see the difference. It's much longer, but we'll see how we do. It's still early today, so we should make it in time.
Hard to walk. They will take about twice as long as trails of their distance normally would. The beautiful forest lakes store.
So I think we've been hiking for a little under 2 kilometers. And these paths have been very different. So yesterday we walked on all of these large rocks, but today it has mainly been some like humus flooring, so pine needles and moss, lichen, sorry, so that's very soft. And the route has also been less steep, but I think things are going to change now, because this was also a very difficult route, and so far it's been easy. But first, it's time for some food up on this hill. This park really is lovely. The hikes are difficult though, so wouldn't recommend it for people that aren't fit or aren't up for a challenge, or elderly, less agile people, for example. But you do see a variety of types of forest and plants as well. We just saw a lot of heather, and yeah, just looks amazing. We are now back in the van and are on our way to one of the small villages here, and hoping to find a supermarket as well. And we have to exit this park anyway, because you can't spend the night within the bounds of a national park. But I think on the left there is already the sign saying that we're leaving the park. Not sure. I think so. It's very early this morning. We got up at 5 and it's 6 o'clock right now, and we're on our way back to a different spot in Tiveden National Park where we can start our hikes. Today we're first off to Tiveden, and we'll do 2 hikes there. I think they're 1 hour and half an hour each, but a distance of 1.5 or 2 kilometers. Very short. And then we're driving to yet another one of those entrance points, and we'll do another hike, which is also short. So we're spending another day in the national park, and then we're off and we'll find a city. We have arrived. We're starting off with the orange hiking path. So 1.3 kilometers and 1 hour approximately. Just hiking past a massive lake. So it's now a little past 6, I think it's 6:30 or so. And you're not allowed to park and spend the night in a park like this, in a national park. So we drive out of the park and then park somewhere at the edge, next to a road, but not within the park bounds. So it's clear in the mother. Oh. So these things just make it clear why it takes us an hour to walk 1 kilometer. Yeah, it's quite difficult to walk this path, but look at the surroundings. It's amazing. And here's a puppy that doesn't want to stop walking. Oh, and instead of just taking this path, Mojo decided to jump over this rock onto that lovely, which she thought was a surface, but it's a deep mud pool, so she's completely soaked. You can't see it because she's black, but she's completely muddy. We're back at the van. The dogs just had their breakfast. We're feeding them mush, by the way, right now. That's a pre-made raw brand. We just stored that in these tubs in the freezer. And we are off on another hike. This time we're taking the white one. We wanted to take the black one, but that was 0.9 kilometers, half an hour walk, and it overlapped half with the orange one. So we already walked half of that. So we are taking the white one. We are now standing in front of a massive rock. 15 meters tall it is. And people used to believe that giants had thrown these massive boulders around, and that's how they ended up here. But, well, this traveled here during the Ice Age, and small pieces brittled off, or smaller rocks, but this is what remained. if you want to read about this rock, then just pause the video here. So we've just arrived to a small, well, I think a group of houses called a Sjönes, and we're starting a final hike here. So hike number 5, it's the green route and it's 1.9 kilometers, half an hour. And it's funny to see the difference because there's a yellow route which is 2.2 kilometers, so actually very similar in distance, but it should take 2 hours, so 4 times the duration. So the comparison is clear. So during this final hike, here's another view for you to enjoy. Mucho. Goed zo. And there she is, our little home.